I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We have a presentation from Uprooted Farmers Market.
So this was I wrote down that they were on the next agenda, but I emailed Sterling, Uprooted Farm, that he was on this agenda. So, Sterling's here to chat about bringing the farmer's market back up to the town office. And I just wanted to let you know, I did speak to my emergency services department heads, and just like before, they would have no issue. So if you wanted to come up to the podium and chat, or
I'm sure. Feel official.
you're very official, Sterling.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Julie. My name is Sterling. I own Uprooted Farm, a veteran-owned vegetable farm, just 2 minutes from Moody's Diner on 220. It's on Higher Road. It's the old Muriel Bernheimer farm. So anyway, I'm here to request permission to utilize the town office lot out here for the farmers market. I think that we believe that this using this location will provide a central and convenient location for residents and visitors to access fresh, locally produced goods. We are, of course, committed to working with the town to ensure the market runs smoothly, and working with EMS as well. And of course, we're happy to answer any questions you might have today or provide any additional information if you need it. Preliminary interest. Yeah, we have a couple of farmers. Switchback Farm is one of them. Withers Rush Farm and Heritage Home Farm. We haven't done much advertising since we didn't have a location locked out as of yet, but soon we'll push out the notifications for new applicants. We're hoping to have the market on Sundays from 12 to 3.
Yeah, so I'm Keely, I'm Sterling's wife. We also are looking to have sort of some outreach to the local community. So the owner of Switchback knows of a couple local musicians that might be willing to come out and have some live music on an occasional Sunday. We want to reach out to the schools to see if we can have I have a connection with the theater department at Mahomet High School. So if they wanted to come out and do like a face painting day for a fundraiser for them for kids. And reach out, get their horticulture program involved, depending on how who's interested and what they might be interested in doing, but having them here, I think that could be great. And reaching out to the library, because I know the library does a lot of story time. So having them sort of present at the farmers market as well. So there's fresh food, fresh produce, but also some community activities without creating too much chaos all at one time, sort of spread them out over the course of the season.
Are you guys going to be spearheading the organization of it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So you'll be the contact.
Will be the contact.
If we approve it, is there some way we can have that posted on the
So
website?
yeah.
For
we can figure all of that out. So if you approve it tonight, then I will put Sterling in touch with the chiefs.
Mhm.
And there are just some regulations about keeping certain lanes open. We did this before, so
Sure.
we're well versed in it, but placement of the cones and things, but Sunday afternoons are, we did it. We tried this a few years ago, for about 3 years, I think it was, but we tried a weekday in the afternoon, which the office staff loved. And then I think they did a Saturday, but the Sunday sounds really interesting, that's people coming back from church and traveling. And I was very excited when I got your first phone call.
Sure, yeah, we had talked late last
Mhm.
the last year about it. And yeah, we thought maybe the traffic, where it was before, it was a nice location, but we thought it was a little bit out of the way. I know Allison Lake, and she's having some infrastructure on her property now, so she's not able to have the farmers market there. We of course attended that or participated in that market last year throughout the season.
And Allison and Neil said they were super busy,
Yes.
but they said they might be interested in being like a guest occasionally at the
Oh,
market.
Oh, that would be
so-
lovely. She's just lovely.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
great.
Have you been in touch with the people who used to run it before the Lakens?
It was what Karen?
Karen Clark, yeah,
Karen Clark, yes, ma'am.
you have, okay, because she has signs and all kinds
So
of,
she said she had the sign, she gave me access to the Facebook page.
yeah, she'd be willing to share all that stuff, just,
Absolutely.
okay, good.
Yes, we talked a little bit about the history of
Yep.
the
Yep.
market.
We've had success on Sunday afternoons before, just setting up our own stand. There's a lot of, people leaving church, especially when some of the churches get out
I
at 11,
stopped.
30. Perfect. Really? Great.
My daughter and I stopped.
Wonderful. Great. So yeah, so that's sometimes beneficial just to catch that traffic in transition.
When do you expect your season to begin?
So we could probably start as early as Mother's Day weekend. We could even push it.
Oh.
I probably wouldn't have produce at that point, but maybe the other vendors might have some.
Switchback would have.
Exactly.
Mhm.
There's some folks that can certainly sell at that time frame, but maybe even the first week in June, if that's an issue, and then probably September, October timeframe. As soon as we run out of produce. We'll end the market. Yep.
Bob has a question.
I'm just thinking out loud, and that's sometimes when I do that, but. I'm wondering if there's some way of working shellfish into this as well. Or is that,
That's a little
lot of
different.
power.
We need a peddler's license and stuff like that.
you're right. I know that there are some local.
Do we have
companies,
peddlers?
Groups that
Um,
could do it.
the one I deal with usually heads north.
Oh.
Because there's not much seafood up north, so he can sell
Yeah.
products like crazy up there.
There's
So
a trucking
sure,
range.
but down here, it's a little bit tougher selling
Yeah.
seafood because you can go
Yeah.
get it.
Absolutely.
Everybody
Yeah.
knows somebody that's lobsters or clams or,
We're
you know,
actually
does
from
oysters.
Central Maine, so yeah,
Yeah.
we see all those peddlers at the.
Yep.
In that area.
yeah, but you don't see them so much around here
No,
because.
right, it's all
Everywhere.
over, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
we
different vendors need different licensing
different licensing.
anyway. So if they're doing any types of like dairy products, a lot of times they'll need stuff and they'll need commercial kitchen licensing if they're doing baked goods or breads or anything like that. So
Make sure all the appropriate.
paperwork
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
available.
Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you guys for your time again, and hope to hear from you guys soon.
Thanks.
Do we want to make a motion tonight? I would move that we acquiesce to the use of our front of the town office for this.
Is there a second?
Second,
There any discussion? No, proceed to vote. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
That was easy, huh?
Did Julie figure out the logistics?
Yes, and I'll put you in touch with the chiefs and they'll take very good care of you and we'll make sure that the doors open so that the public bathrooms can be used.
Perfect.
And we'll figure all those logistics out.
We're gonna go start advertising.
Well, I was really excited. This is a great night to stay because there's nothing but good news in my town manager's report.
Thank you.
Put it on Facebook and we'll all share.
We will all will.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, next, the public hearing, Waldeboro Shellfish Harvesting License Fees. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So move.
Is there a second?
second,
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. Are there any public comments regarding the Waldeboro Shellfish Harvesting License Fees?
do you want me to just give you a rundown?
Yeah, if you wouldn't.
Okay.
mind.
All right. See, nobody else here from the Shellfish Committee's here, but anyways, with the rising costs and everything else, the Shellfish Committee decided we needed to go up $25 for residents, and I think it's whatever it is for non-residents. We haven't gone up in probably 10, 12 years, 15 years, something like that. We haven't gone up in price. So it was time to have to make those adjustments so we don't run out of money in our program. And we're self-sustaining. We take 0 tax dollars from the town. So that's the only way we could come up with the extra money. And we also, I don't know if I should bring this up in this, is we want to create a 1-day recreational license for anybody. It's at a $25 fee. You're allowed to go no more than 2 times a month and up to 10 times a year. But anybody, a non-resident wants to come down, dig for a day, dig a pack, they're going to be allowed to. If this goes through, they'll be allowed to. I know one of our administrators brought this to our attention that there was such a thing in another town. We never knew about it. We never even thought about it. So it opens up the opportunity of somebody that comes here from out of state that comes here to stay for a week, and they may have the opportunity to go down and try to dig a clam if they think it's so easy. So maybe they'll appreciate the price at the stores.
I was told that it's going to discourage people from wanting to dig their own, and they'll figure out that the price is
Like I
just
said,
perfectly fine.
They'll appreciate what they pay at the supermarket or at the seafood
We
dealership.
do get a lot of requests. Tanya does field a lot of requests for the 1 day, well, for a license or, and under our current ordinance, it's not allowed. So I
Yeah,
do think.
and
it'll be
from what I
something good
understand, there's an,
For residents too.
a resident can buy a recreational license for $25 and be able to dig all year, so they shouldn't worry about buying a recreational license, 1-day recreational license. But apparently there's a guy in Morrill, I believe, that calls as soon as they're available in July, every single day until he tries to get one. And he wants to dig at least once in his lifetime, and he's in his 80s. He wants to be able to try to go dig once in his lifetime, so that would open that up as well. But anybody that is a summer resident that doesn't reside here and doesn't have a residency other than a second home, a cottage or whatever, they would have the ability to walk out front of their house and be able to dig a pack of clams if it's open area. So that's what this is. License fees and stuff like that. It's all about.
That was a question I had. Let's say somebody a rancher rolled in from Nebraska. Where would he go? How would he know
We
where to
have a
go?
list right out on the front board.
Okay.
Justin, our shellfish warden, keeps that updated of what areas are open.
Okay.
And you can also go to the Department of Marine Resources website and look us up, and it'll show everything that's open, and 90% of Waldeboro is open. I mean, that's one of the biggest things we've accomplished is the river's cleaner than it's ever been, and we've got 90% of the river
I'm going to
at our
suggest
disposal.
that they probably when we hand out one of those, we'll have Justin's number and have them call Justin, because we don't want people just walking willy-nilly
Walking off the
everywhere.
shore anywhere.
Or, so I think Justin will give them a good idea of where to go if they want to have an enjoyable experience.
But that's the justification of the license fee increases.
Do we need a motion?
Gotta close the public hearing first.
Oh,
If there's
right.
any more.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, if not, we'll close the public hearing. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, proceed to vote. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Now we'll act on the public hearing. I have a motion.
I'll make motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'd second the motion to increase the shellfish harvesting license fees.
Okay.
Do we want to include at this point also the recreational, the non-resident license, recreational license, or leave that? Sorry.
That's going to appear on the warrant.
Okay, sorry. I'll just second your motion. Well, my apologies. It's okay, Bob.
Is there any discussion? Now let's proceed to vote. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. All right, that moves us down to adjustments to the agenda. Does anybody have adjustments to the agenda?
I'd just like to make a change in the consent calendar where it says correspondence.
Yes.
We do have correspondence.
I thought that was going to be a surprise.
Oh,
That's fine.
I mean, when to do it.
You can do it then.
Okay.
Sounds perfect. You're going to read it.
When? But during the correspondence.
Sure.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay. All right, citizen comments? Is there anything that anybody from the audience would like to visit about? If not, we'll move on to the select board comments.
We had a Sylvania committee meeting last week, I think it was, and there was some discussion about, and I don't know whether we need to act on this as a board, but there's a discussion about $300 being allocated to review the asbestos.
That's what
situation.
Got the grant for.
Okay, so that's been taken care of.
Correct.
So with, that was something that the Sylvania committee was really interested in. And they're down there now cleaning up the house and getting things divided about things to keep and things not to keep. I think you had the key to them yesterday, Julie, or the day before.
Somebody in the office did,
Yeah.
but every item that they would like to dispose of would have to be bagged. So I think I gave them an update this afternoon of what would have to be done. So they're working on that and
Okay.
I'll get back to them. on
And they're
that.
planning on having a yard sale maybe at some point, if
From what I understand.
it's justified. Okay. That's all I got. Thank you.
Was there anything in there for the Historical
The
Society?
Historical Society had already been through.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you get your pickings already, huh, Bill?
They don't miss a beat, do they?
Cherry picked it. I see how he is.
For the Historical Society.
For the Historical Society, yes.
We are grateful that the town was, let us do that. Really very accommodating.
Okay, Jan?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Sorry.
Yep, no,
Oh.
I already said what I needed to, so.
Just that we have a new barber back at the old barber shop. Now, and I love the name, Dark Harbor Barber. I thought that was really quite cute. So, I mean, it's nice to see a little more life, and that was, they sent out a nice welcome, nice notice to the community. And how nice that is.
I don't have anything.
Okay, town manager report.
So I have two important updates. One is, I just wanted to update you that we are getting closer to closing on the Worcester parking lot behind the pharmacy. So I would expect that in the next week to 10 days. And I just thought that you would want to be up to speed on that. And this is a major announcement I'm about to make. And I am going to tell a story. So there's a story that goes with it. My daughter, who I'm very proud of, as you can tell, because I'm claiming her as mine, works in the child care field and called me today and used the word Twitter-pated. And I love that word. It's one of my favorite words. It's from Bambi. When you get all excited and your heart beats really fast. And she said everybody in her office at Child Development Services was all Twitter-pated, excited, because Head Start is coming back to Waldoboro. And she said, that is the most wonderful news. And they are going to be hosting an enrollment visit day at the Waldoboro Library on 4/26 from 10 to 12. And this is a culmination of a lot of effort. So as you'll recall, Head Start used to be in Friendship Street School. Because of COVID, because of some of the issues with the school and the organization themselves going through forums and trying to determine where they wanted to go and what they wanted to accomplish, determined that Friendship Street School was not the place to continue. And I want everybody to hear that, because other things have been said. And Friendship Street School they decided to end their lease. And since that time, we've worked hard to figure out how to bring them back. We went through a process with them that I was invited to participate in. And childcare is an extremely important component of our community. And I say that coming from sitting on the Lincoln County YMCA's childcare task force. So it's not something that I take lightly, and the significance to our community is huge. And Select Board knows some of this backstory, but Max Johnstone in the back there has worked tirelessly, as have I, with Andrew Slater from Head Start. And they do have a location that they're coming to in Waldoboro. I'm not going to steal his thunder and announce that one, but he did give me permission to announce, and I just wanted to let you know, it was a great day. Max and I were, doing high fives, but Andrew Slater, I called him this morning and I left him a message with Max in my office, and I said, I just want to tell you about the amazing phone call I got this morning, and it just made my whole day for my daughter. And he said, thank you so much for your wonderful call. He said, I've been in meetings all day. I'm so glad that folks are excited. We are so excited to be coming. There is no way that without all of the help from both of you and Max, we would not be coming back. Thank you both more than I can say, Andrew. And it just made my day. And I know there's been a couple of folks who wanted to know what was happening, but they're coming back. So fall session, it's going to be great. And if you need childcare, and go meet them on the 26th, and even better, just stop in to say hi and welcome back. So that was exciting. And I wanted to remind everybody that the WBA, I thought you were going to do this one.
Nope.
Okay, the WBA.
About it. I'm not really on the board anymore.
Okay, so the WBA posted on Facebook that they're having their kickoff meeting on the 26th from 5 to 7. And the location, Bill, was the cornhole place right across the street. I think that'll be a great time. I know our select board meeting is that night, but I thought maybe if we promise each other we're not going to start till 6, we could run across the street, greet, meet, be sociable, and then come over here and have a meeting. And I just want to remind everybody, the VOA had their first forum yesterday at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Their next one is on
the 24th, but that's if we want to have.
and that's on the 24th, but their planning board meeting is this Thursday night at 6 o'clock. I haven't had an amazing, happy, all good news report like this in like 2 months. Because it's been budget. Oh, and that's the other thing I should say. Because I can't stop. I have an amazing budget committee. We spent too many nights. This was the hardest budget, and I've said this in budget committee meetings, but everybody thinks they're boring, so nobody really watches them. But they do seem to watch these, but when we started with the budget, there was a 23% increase in the budget. And our amazing budget committee and the select board got it down to just 13%. And you're going to say 13% is still a lot. Unfortunately, in these times with the ever increasing uncertainty with prices and delays, I just wanted to thank the budget committee and the select board for your patience. I thought that a lot of very thoughtful discussion was given during these times and these meetings. And I really appreciate the time that these volunteers take to serve on those committees. I mean, we were here for one night for 3 hours We didn't even leave. And I don't provide them with food, so the fact that they even stayed was amazing. But I am just very proud of the budget committee, the select board, the department heads and my staff. You know, it makes, you know, some hard decisions were made, some wonderful discussions were made. We're still going to continue them. And they're not a budget committee that just meets, you know, the month before the budget's due. You know, they meet whenever we call them, and they're going to have some important more meetings ahead of them. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Okay. All right, now how do we, Jan, do you want to go ahead and?
Well,
Is it with your
I think you
correspondence?
approve it and then during the discussion,
Okay,
that work?
sounds like a great idea to me.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. All in favor?
Nope, we got a
Discussion.
discussion.
Discussion. Go ahead, Jan.
He's trying to avoid.
Well, I'm gonna stand up. I have a letter here from the Secretary of State from the state of Maine to Theodore and Elizabeth Worcester. And before I read that, they're not here to hear this, but I'm sure they're listening in. But
They are.
Luke is here and he can listen. So I'm going to say a few things first. Because I'm always honored to celebrate accomplishments of others. And I'm particularly honored when the kudos here go to my dear friends, Betsy and Ted Worcester. They were great personal friends of mine for almost 50 years. And that was really hard to think about when I counted that 50 years. I was just a young thing when I moved here. Betsy and I are only a month apart. And so we spent all of the ages and stages of our lives, except teenage and kid years, we did that together right here in Waldeboro. Ted, who owned the local pharmacy, hired all 4 of my children with working papers for the first one. And he watched over them and taught them how to be workers right downtown Waldeboro, one kid right after the other. And at one point he said, you know, as soon as Suzanne graduates, you're going to have to come take the place. Because I think it'd been a dozen years they'd had a Minzy kid working in there. And it was just, as a parent, it was such a gift to have somebody watch over them during their teens, to train them up in the world of work. That was a nice thing. Betsy and Ted did exactly that same thing to the entire village here. They just, I couldn't think of all the things they did because it was just an everyday occurrence. Ted, you could set your watch to Ted. He walked out of his door at a certain time and walked to the drugstore every morning, and the same thing on the way back. And it was just a sight to behold. Anyway, Betsy was one of the early leaders in the PTA back when we were in our 20s, I think 20s, 30s, 40s, and on and on and on. Yes. Then she went from PTA stuff to sitting on the school board for many years, and her name is on plaques in some of the new schools in our district. She was a master fundraiser for so many organizations. Her dining room table had people from all around sit around it, and she had the knack to gather the money and to organize and to get things done. And she certainly did. It goes on. There was lots of organizations. One of the latest was the Broad Bay Church for the Steeple Fund. She organized that and really got that working. And it didn't matter what organization it was. If it was something for the town, she was there to work for it. And the same with Ted. And he sort of, if you wanted to know what was going on, you would ask Ted, or when the barber shop was there, Bob the barber, or Ted the druggist. That's where you got your information in town. So anyway, this letter says, Dear Theodore and Elizabeth, quite formal. It is with great appreciation that I say congratulations to you for being presented with the Maine 2022 Spirit of America Foundation Award in recognition of Theodore's service on the Planning Board, Select Board, Recycling Committee, and the Broadband Internet Committee for the town of Waldeboro. Thank you to Elizabeth for her organization and leadership skills working with New Hope for Women in Rockland, SAD 40 School Board, and several community activities. Your commitment to volunteerism is an excellent example of true Maine spirit in giving back to your community. Thank you for your dedicated service and best wishes to you on this well-deserved recognition. This will be, there's a presentation, I believe, at the county level, and we'll let you know when that is, when everyone can come, and that will be very nice. So I'm going to give this to you, Luke. And share this with your sister and
Yeah, she's
your aunt and,
my
all
third,
together.
she's in Prescott, Arizona.
oh, wow. Well, you preserve that.
Okay, thank you.
Every year, the select board gets to select a person, or in this case, a dynamic duo,
Mhm.
to receive this award. And I thought it was one of the easiest times we've had, because I think that was the unanimous choice out of everybody's lips when it came time to make the
Mhm.
selection. They are greatly missed, Luke. They are.
Okay, moving along, is there any other discussion? Proceed to vote, all in favor? All opposed, motion carries. Right. Now comes to the new business, warrant review. Julie, I'm gonna let you lead this one.
Oh, really?
Are these
Lucky
both the
person.
same?
Um,
The one
the,
with
the one with the red is the most updated. So I was so glad that the select board had a couple of questions and some revamping to do. So, article number 2. Do you just want me to go over each one individually and just give a quick overview? Does that make sense to you guys? Article number 2, should any municipal budget question fail to pass, shall the town authorize the select board to expend an amount not to exceed 3/12 of the previous year's appropriation? And I should say, we start with Article 2 and not 1, because we appoint our moderator as the first article, and you don't vote on that. So article number 3, this is, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $25,765 for the office of the select board? And under each article, it explains that there's the number of employees, 5 part-time members, legal services, and includes a $7,500 fuel reserve line item for increased fuel costs. And then it lists the select board and the budget committee vote, and the select board recommended 5 in favor, 0 opposed, and budget committee was 8 in favor and 1 absent. And Article 4, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $158,114 for the office of town manager, 1 full-time, 1 shared employee, 36 hours a week, and operating expenses. And that was select board 5 in favor, 0 opposed, and budget committee was 7 in favor, 1 absent, and 1 abstention. Article 5, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $97,874 for the assessing department. Daryl was just about to get himself a big raise there. 1 full-time employee, 32 hours a week, and operating expenses. And that was select board in favor 5, opposed 0. Budget committee in favor 8, 1 absent. Article 6, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $236,846 for the finance and customer service department? 1 full-time 40-hour work week employee, 1 full-time employee 36 hours a week, and increased cost for online services and operating expenses. And that was select board in favor 5, opposed 0, budget committee 7 in favor, 1 absent, and 1 abstention. Article 7, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $92,651 for the office of the town clerk, 1 full-time employee, 36 hours a week, 8 ballot clerks, and operating expenses. Select board voted 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 absent. Article 8, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $20,240 for the municipal building? This was utilities, maintenance, and contracted cleaning, which has been divided between this article and the EMS, fire, and police departments. Select Board in favor 5, opposed 0, Budget Committee 6 in favor, 3 absent. Public safety articles. Article 9, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $1,644,041 for emergency medical services, 6 full-time employees, 10 part-time employees, and 20 per diem employees, operating expenses, utilities, maintenance, and contracted cleaning. Select Board in favor 5, opposed 0, Budget Committee in favor 8, 1 absent. Article 10, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $245,401 for the fire department, 26 paid volunteers, operating expenses, utilities, maintenance, and contracted cleaning. Select Board voted 5 in favor, 0 opposed, Budget Committee 8 in favor, 1 absent. Article 11, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $1,130,167 for the police department, 8 full-time employees, 3 shared employees, operating expenses, utilities, maintenance, and contracted cleaning. Select Board vote 5 in favor, 0 opposed, Budget Committee 8 in favor, 1 absent. Article 12, and this is the important one because I want to make sure everybody understands this one. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $31,835 for the Shellfish Management Program? 1 part-time employee. This budget is fully funded by the clamming licensing fees. No public funds are utilized. And we fought, if you'll remember, a few years back to have that included. That little tagline, no public funds are utilized. Select Board voted in favor 5, opposed 0, Budget Committee 8, absent 1. Article 13, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $18,000 for animal control? And that's contracted through Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. Select Board recommended 5 in favor, 0 absent. Budget Committee recommended in favor 8, absent 1. Article 14, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $6,761 for the Emergency Management Agency? 1 part-time employee, 4 hours a week, and operating expenses. Select Board recommended 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 absent. Shall the town raise and appropriate $88,320 for fire hydrants? Select Board recommended 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 absent. Article 16, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $5,300 for streetlights? Select Board recommended 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 absent. Public Works. Article 17, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $1,215,068 for Public Works, 9 full-time employees, 1 shared employee, and operating expenses. Select Board recommended 4 in favor, 1 abstained. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 abstained. Article 18, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $11,750 for parks and cemeteries? Select Board voted in favor 5, opposed 0. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 absent. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $18,249 for general assistance? Board of Selectmen voted in favor 5, opposed 0. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 absent. Shall the town raise, Article 20, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $9,816 for social service agencies? And that is New Hope for Women, $1,886. Healthy Kids of Lincoln County, $3,930. Spectrum Generations, $4,000. Select Board vote in favor 5, opposed 0. Budget Committee recommended in favor 8, absent 1. Community service articles, Article 21, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $92,920 for the Recreation Department, 1 full-time employee, 36 hours, and operating expenses. Select Board recommended 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 absent. Article 22, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $101,104 for community service agencies? Local access cable television, Lincoln County TV, 11,000. Waldeboro Public Library, 75,000. Waldeboro Snow Crawlers, $604. Waldeboro Historical Society, 5,000. Waldo Theater, 6,500. Memorial Day Committee, 1,000. Waldeboro Day Committee, 2,000. Select Board in favor 4, abstain 1. Budget Committee recommended in favor 8, absent 1. Planning and Development Articles, Article 23. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $178,447 for planning and development? 1 full-time employee, 36 hours a week, 1 contract planner, and operating expenses. Select Board recommended 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 absent. Insurance articles. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $63,620 for the property and liability risk pool? Select Board recommends 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Budget Committee recommends 8 in favor, 1 absent. Debt service. Article 25. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $211,898 for debt service? Select Board recommends in favor 5, opposed 0. Budget Committee recommends 8 in favor, 0 opposed. Other financing use articles. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $451,227 and transfer such funds to the transfer station fund to fund Waldeboro's share of the transfer station budget? 3 full-time employees, 2 shared employees, and operating expenses. Select Board voted to recommend 4 in favor, 1 abstain. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 abstain. Article 27, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $684,584 and transfer to the capital reserve fund for improvements? EMS equipment reserve, $200,000. Fire equipment reserve, $37,500. Police equipment reserve, $15,500. Public Works equipment reserve, $110,000. Public buildings, $20,000. Transportation improvements, surface paving program, $150,000. Highway construction reserve, $50,000. Unemployment reserve, $5,000. Transfer station equipment, $65,000. Solar farm purchase, $82,000. For a total of $735,000, less transfers from other sources, $50,497, for a total of $684,504. Select Board recommended 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Budget Committee recommends 6 in favor, 2 opposed, 1 absent. Article 28, shall the town appropriate the sum of $3,723,483 from the estimated revenues account to be applied to reduce the 2024 tax rate? And that was local taxes, $1,040,162, licenses and permits, $81,835, intergovernmental revenues, $989,643, charges for service, $1,268,908, other revenues, $57,294, and other financing sources, $285,642. Board of Selectmen voted in favor 5. Budget Committee recommended 8 in favor, 1 absent. Article 29, shall the town transfer the sum of $74,892 from the local road assistance block program to the general fund to be applied toward the transportation program? Select Board in favor 5, opposed 0. Budget Committee in favor 6, absent 3. Article 30, shall the town increase the property tax levy limit of $722,955 established for the town of Waldeboro by state law in the event that the municipal budget approved under the preceding articles will result in a tax commitment that is greater than the property tax levy limit? This is also known as LD1. This is only the 2nd year that we've had to do this, and I would say that is due in part to the economic uncertainty that we face. And that's not something that's voted on by the Select Board or the Budget Committee. Ordinance articles. Article 31, shall the town vote to revise an ordinance entitled Disorderly Property Ordinance to regulate properties harboring occupants who disturb the peace and tranquility of their neighbors be enacted? A copy of this ordinance is on file at the office of the town clerk. If you'll recall, soon after this passed on the warrant last year, we made some changes and we put in a committee that would review these. So that's what that ordinance pertains to. Article 32, Shall ordinance entitled the Town of Waldeboro Ordinance Establishing a Moratorium on Coastal Water Aquaculture Development be enacted. A copy of this ordinance is on file with the town clerk. Shall the town vote to enact changes to the existing land use ordinance that was approved on November 3rd, 2020? These changes include revisions to Articles 2, 3, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, and 15 to the land use ordinance. A copy of this ordinance is on file at the office of the town clerk. And Article 34, shall the voters of the town of Waldeboro adopt amendments to the municipal development and tax increment financing district and the development program for the district known as the First Waldeboro Tax Increment Financing District Development Program. These changes shall include amending the project list for eligible uses of funds and removing parcels from the program. A copy is on file at the office of town clerk. Now, another ordinance would be what is in front of you, which would be the shellfish ordinance. So we would have to renumber everything. But this would be to Article 35 would then become shall the voters of the town of Waldeboro vote to revise an ordinance entitled Shellfish Conservation Ordinance to regulate shellfish in this, I would say to regulate shellfish harvesting in the town of Waldeboro. It will say something very similar to that. We've adopted it before the revision, so we'll just repeat what we typically say in that article. As long as all of you agree with this change.
Bob's got one.
My only suggestion is that in the second of the last line, instead of using the word may, which leaves it open, to using the word shall, which makes it that commercial shellfishers
Shall not,
shall not have a license to dig as a resident.
Commercial.
They shall not be issued or hold a resident or non-resident recreational clam harvest license. In other words, they'll continue with a commercial licensing, which of course they pay to do and are entitled to do, but if they're applying for a one-day recreational license, they're not going to get it.
so should I then, if you're going to change that, do you want to change it then in the licensing in Article 5? Because I took the wording from up further in the ordinance. They all say may. And under 5 in licensing,
Looking at Article 5 licensing, I don't see.
under number 3 and number 4.
Yeah, it should be shall. If that's the intention of the Shellfish Committee, and I think it is.
Yeah, nobody's gonna buy a license if they've got a commercial license. They're not
Right.
gonna buy a recreational license.
Just so it's clear, they don't think they can do it, because they say they may not, instead of shall not, as well. That's the only comment I had. And I'd move to include the one-day recreational license with the shellfish ordinance as amended.
And I think there's one other change. Instead of 12 years, it's 10 years.
Right, so if you're looking at it, I inked it out. It said 12 years, but the rest of our ordinance says 10, so it should reflect 10 years.
Right,
Oh,
third
there.
line down. Yeah. Yeah, third line down.
So that would end all the ordinance changes we want to make. Speak now and forever hold your peace. I know that I had put out a harbor master ordinance yesterday that was given to me by the shellfish warden that I am assuming the Shellfish Committee wanted to potentially have on this warrant. The issue became that the ordinance, I got it yesterday. I really didn't have enough time to go through it, and there's just a couple of questions that I have from how we set that up. Do we need a committee? There were just a couple questions that I needed answered that we could not get answered before tonight. We can always put it, obviously, there's an election again in November, isn't there? We can obviously put it on, a warrant then, or it can wait till next June, but it just, there was a couple of words and, Bob, you had sent an email, or we had talked about it.
Yeah.
But there was just a couple of things that when I read it, I was confused at what it meant. And if I was confused, I was just like, I don't even know what that means. And then different places throughout the state of Maine use different law references, and I just want to make sure we're doing it the right way. So I would just suggest we pull that off. So that's why that did not appear here. Other warrant articles, this would be now Article 36. Shall the town vote to fix the 15th day of November 2023 and the 15th day of May 2024, when all 2024 taxes shall be due and payable in semi-annual installments, and to instruct the tax collector to charge interest at 8% per annum on all taxes unpaid after said date. And I believe we double checked that amount of the 8%. If you'll recall, last year we had that issue. We did double check that, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Article 37, shall the town vote to pay interest at 4% per annum on any amount overpaid on property taxes as noted in MRSA Title 36-506A, and we did double check that.
I thought we got rid of that last year.
No,
I thought we made it 0. No, okay.
well, you did, because that's what the state said we could.
Oh, I got you.
Article 38, shall the town vote to authorize the tax collector to offer a 2024 tax club plan to taxpayers who enroll no later than July 31st, 2023, who pay the total amount of 2024 taxes by monthly payments from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, who abide by the requirements of said plan, who shall receive from the town in return for such payments full credit for such taxes paid without incurring any charge of interest. Article 39, shall the town vote to authorize the select board on behalf of the town to sell and dispose of any real estate acquired by the town for non-payment of taxes thereon on such terms as it may deem advisable, and to execute quitclaim deeds for such property. Property which, in the opinion of the select board, best serves the interest of the town by remaining town-owned property need not be sold. Article 40, shall the town vote to authorize the transfer of all unexpended balances to fund balance, and to authorize the overdrafts that may occur in the town operations in the 2023 budget to be taken from fund balance. Article 41, shall the town authorize the select board and treasurer on behalf of the town to accept gifts, real estate, and certain funds, including trust funds and grant programs that may be given or left to the town. Article 42, shall the town authorize the treasurer to waive the foreclosure of tax lien mortgages pursuant to 36 MRSA 944 upon finding by the select board that the ownership of the property subject to the lien would be contrary to the town's best interest. Article 43, shall the town authorize the select board to enter into boundary line agreements with the budding property owners to establish the boundary line of any property of the town, including the boundary lines of the right of ways. Article 44, shall the town authorize the select board to make final determination regarding the closing or opening of roads to winter maintenance pursuant to 23 MRSA 2953. Article 45. Shall the town authorize the select board to notify the commissioner of the Department of Marine Resources that it wishes to exercise its rights to alewives in the Madomic River for the year 2024. Article 47, shall the town vote to authorize the transfer of unexpected balances of the shellfish operating budget to be placed in the shellfish capital budget at fiscal year end. These budget line items are fully funded by claiming license fees. No public funds are utilized. And this is a new one, and that is because nowhere could we find that their unexpended balance would be then put over into their capital line item. And this just gives us the ability to do that. Article 48, shall the town vote to authorize the purchase of the solar array currently at the Waldeboro Transfer Station from Sundog Solar LLC in the amount of $164,000, first half payable in the amount of $82,000 in February 2024. Voter petition. Article 49, shall the town vote to help support the Waldeboro Food Pantry, WFP, on an annual basis in the amount of $18,000. The WFP is a 501c3 nonprofit, distributes healthy food twice per month to over 100 food insecure families in Waldeboro. And that is the end of the warrant. I
Uh,
tried to make it as quick as possible.
I just have one concern, and it's Article 33. We're putting on, on the town ballot, amendments to the change, the existing land use ordinance, which we approved back in November of last year, 2020. And I'm not sure that this board, and maybe we don't have to, planning board has done it and they're happy with it, that's fine. I've reviewed some of the recommended changes and there are some I simply. They're not, I would recommend they be reviewed by legal counsel. I find the language inconsistent. I'm referring in particular to Article 3. Which sets up a different review process, and I think it's well-intentioned and needed. But it's not clear to me what the code enforcement officer is empowered to do and what the town planner is empowered to do before it gets to the planning board itself. And I think that language needs to be cleaned up. That's my concern. I do agree that we need to decrease the number of planning board folks to 5, because we can't get people to sit on the board. That's a huge problem. So without a quorum, you can't do anything. Hopefully, reducing the number of planning board members will allow a quorum more readily to be assembled. So if I'm endorsing putting this out there, it's going to be with the exception to Article 33. I don't think it should be on the warrant at this point. If this board is supposed to approve, or by implication is approving the land use ordinance changes that I've seen. That's my statement.
Max, what was the process used for the planning board to review the ordinances? Since I have you captive.
So are we talking about what Article 3 is specifically, or how planning board's been reviewing the ordinance so far?
Well, I would go over Bob's specific concerns.
So that item you're talking about, that review process, that was approved back in 2020. The change that I'm actually proposing makes it more transparent and actually gives the planning board more power for the review. Whereas right now, Stan and I can approve certain uses on our own without the planning board. And if we feel it has to go to the planning board, we can do so. And it has to be sort of a unanimous decision. Stan can't approve something on his own. I can't approve something on my own. We either agree that it's approved as is, or we make a split decision and it has to go to the planning board.
I agree with the intent, Max.
Mhm.
I just don't agree with the language. I don't think the language in that article reflects what you've just said. That's the problem.
So the current 2020 ordinance already has that process. What I'm trying to propose amends it so that we're trying to clean up the language. And if you have trouble with that, I'm fine. I'm fine removing that from the Article 3 right now. I really just want to amend the quorum changes,
I understand that.
As
and I
well-
agree with you.
as well as a lot of minor technical items that really have just been festering for a year or so, and I just need to have it approved at this point, so there's no more confusion.
So Bob, your concern was Article,
Yeah,
So
I mean,
great.
the warrant says a copy of the, a copy of the ordinance is on file with the town clerk. And yeah, I'm assuming that Pam has a copy of this on file at the moment.
I sent it to all of you to review, and it's gonna be with her once it's.
right, it won't be available till the warrant is available.
Right, but we haven't had a formal review at this board. We have not sat down and talked about that ordinance together. And that's the only issue I raised. My suggestion is, I mean, if we had that formal review as a select board, we might have had a discussion and made some changes.
So that's why I sent it, I think. to-
And I
before the
responded
last
to you.
meeting. Yes, you
Yeah.
did. And
Yeah.
I wasn't here at the last select board meeting.
Understood.
So that's why I sent it so far ahead, so all of you could have that time to review it. So, because I knew it was a tight timeline. But if that's the biggest concern you have, I'm fine having that stricken if that's possible, and we just have the quorum changes, because I really can't have another board of 7 with 3 spots. I don't know if that's allowed or not.
But no, we could, this is the time that they should make any changes they would like to make. Because then we have the public hearing. On the. On the warrant.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with it. I do get a couple things in this. Little.
I guess my question is, does what Bob say reflect what you already have? Other than the quorum and stuff like that,
The quorum item is under Article 3 as well.
Yeah.
So,
but we just,
yeah, I don't know how that would. work.
well, we would just remove it. If,
Yeah.
does that cover Bob's concern if we got rid of that?
If you got rid of that, then it would still have the same language. It's just, I wouldn't include that first page that has the changes he's talking about.
So you're suggesting to include in the warrant the reference to Article 3 and list all of the other articles that are in there.
Yes, I want to just reference all the articles to show what changes are made.
Mhm.
And I can revise it so that it doesn't include that first page that you're talking about. But keep in mind, the process is still active. It's just for certain uses in town.
Got it. I mean, we can review Article 3 in November.
Right.
And I think we should.
Okay, so you're clear on what change you have to make.
Yeah, it's just the first page pretty much, but Article 3 we can still include in there for the quorum changes.
I don't have a
I'm fine
problem.
with that.
So Article 3 is still remaining in Article 30.
Yes, copy I'm gonna give to Pam. It's just gonna remove the first page for Article 3.
Is it? I guess. The way you explain it, it doesn't say that in the words that he explained
In
the changes.
in my opinion, it's not clear where that. It's not clear that the. Planner and the code enforcement officer sign off on every single application that comes in that meets their requirements. And I'm not sure how you transition from the code enforcement officer to the town planner. I mean, he's supposed to look at the applications and then. I'm not sure whether he is allowed under certain parameters to make a decision on his own. It doesn't seem like it is,
I think
It's
most
something-
of,
but it's
Something
not.
that Stan and I both have to approve together.
Well, okay, but I don't think the language says that in so many words, except until you get to the second stage of review. There it's clear, you both have to approve it.
Yes.
But that first stage. Isn't clear to me.
Okay.
It doesn't say, for example, that the code enforcement officer shall not approve any application he receives. It does require the review at a minimum, the review and approval of the town planner.
but if he's got a septic system come in, he shouldn't have to look at it.
Well,
That's
that's
the
the
That's a
question.
separate thing.
Right.
Whenever we get any application, doesn't matter who approves it. Stan and I are both looking at the application anyways, and we agree what it falls under in the land use ordinance.
So in practice, that's what they're doing.
Right.
And I think that's right.
Yep.
I think it's good to have that. I mean, I'm agreeing with you, Max.
It just is, apparently the language
I don't
doesn't
think the
reflect
language
that.
says that.
Right, but even for that, that's always just been standard practice.
Yep.
All right, I'm fine with that. Just want the quorum, I just want the quorum and I want the technical changes.
You got them. As far as I want, you have them.
The last two,
Okay,
the question marks out of place. The question marks at the very end the end of a statement, and there's a period at the end of the question.
shall the town vote to authorize the. Okay, so the
Should be a
question
question.
should be up by 164 and a period. at-
Period at
Right.
2024, and the same issue on the last one.
Okay,
Yes, teacher.
I'm going, that doesn't sound like a question to
Let's get
me.
review and, you know, so I mean,
Yeah,
this is good. I don't have a problem with it.
well, that makes that a question, huh?
Anybody else?
Yeah, I guess we're ready for a motion for approval on the warrant review as presented. Let's put it that way, as presented.
Do we,
Is there a motion?
do we have to have a motion? because
Yeah.
we gotta go to public hearing, correct?
You have to approve this so that
can go.
tomorrow she can start getting it printed.
Okay, all right, so moved.
Is there a second? All right. Is there any more discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
And I'd just like to mention, the public hearing will be May 23rd at 6 o'clock, and she's also preparing no,
Pizza?
what are you preparing to go with a voter guide?
They'll have access to absentee rolls, hours they come in, all the questions that'll be on the form.
And the ordinances.
And
Okay, next, sand and gravel agreement.
If you'll recall, during the budget process, we discussed allowing John Daigle to reduce some costs based on the fact that sand and gravel could potentially be traded, and we would like that approval given tonight by the select board, so that John can approach the contractor and make a deal. So this would give him the authorization to negotiate that contract, and then the contract will come before you at a later date for approval.
I'll make that motion.
I second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
And this just clarifies that we potentially could trade
Screening.
screen gravel, screening our sand for bank run gravel.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody knows it.
Couldn't remember what it was called. Bank
Yep.
run gravel.
Just a clarification, is that a 1-for-1 exchange so many times?
I think he's going to negotiate that.
Okay,
And then I'll bring the contract back to you and you can approve the contract in its finality.
Any other discussion? Now we'll proceed to vote. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
Abstained.
One abstention. Okay, alcohol and controlled substance testing policy.
Uh,
Go ahead.
This is just standard, right from our, as you know, we've started our, you recently approved a new vendor. We're keeping up with CDL regulations and establishing the policy. It's a boilerplate approved by the Main Trucking,
MMTA.
MMTA. Yeah,
MTTA.
MTTA. And we just like to add it to our policy manual. And it's recommended by our finance director.
A couple questions I just need to understand. So we've appointed our finance director as the program administrator.
Correct.
Okay. There's mention in here of a supervisor. Who is the supervisor?
That could be the department head. It could be an immediate supervisor.
Okay, it's just not defined, so I don't know who it is. As long as we know, that's fine.
It would depend on what department it is, because your department head might not be there. So it might be your deputy director
All right,
or your deputy chief, or it could be the person who's in charge of the department at that time.
and it refers to the town's substance abuse professional.
Yes.
And those are capital letters. That's a defined term. Who is that?
That is who we contract with through our drug,
Okay, got it. People
Program.
Broccoli,
Augusta now.
sorry, okay. As long, yeah, I get the hierarchy now, so.
Motion.
I'm not gonna make the motion.
Is there a motion on this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion? If not, proceed to vote. All in favor of this motion, raise your hand. All opposed,
I'm abstaining.
one abstention. Motion carried. Okay, that moves us to old business, Recreation Department playground proposal.
Wings.
Swings and things.
Yeah, last time I met with you guys, you wanted me to get some swing boats, so I did that. Should have a packet that shows it. And you wanted me to get in touch with Cedar Works and see if they had any playgrounds in the area. I thought there was one at Hope School. I was wrong. It was at Appleton School. I contacted them. They've only had it about a year, but so far they love it and they haven't had any upkeep because it's only a year old. They also gave me the email to a daycare in Brunswick. I reached out and haven't heard anything back from them. So I don't have anything to go on as far as the life expectancy of the Cedar Works stuff. But I do have the swing quotes.
Swings are expensive.
They got a lot of space. So yeah, I didn't add it in yours, but before the meeting I went in and. Obviously it's all the same playgrounds, just with swings added. So the Cedar Works, they added almost 13,000. And then the main recreation and design, the option one added. I don't understand this, but because it's the same playgrounds and the same swings, but. Option one added 9,100, option two 7,700, and option three 8,800. So I don't know why they were different to add the same amount of swings, but they were. Yeah,
So they talk about site work
yes,
and the main recreation and design folks.
Yeah.
Explain what's required
sure,
for us to do.
they do.
So
I didn't get anything like that from Cedar Works.
we can't assume they're gonna do the site work. They talk about installation and they give it a price. Does that include site work?
I
Maybe?
don't. I have everything that's included. It's just not in this packet. Apparently, good thing I brought the last one.
Boy, I want to be a supervisor, installation supervisor for $3,500 a day.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. There was an option for them, so they would send two guys that would supervise our public.
I'm in the wrong
works. Get the
business.
tool, right?
I'm in the wrong business.
Get the tools out of
Yeah,
it, but
right.
yeah, and we still have to do a lot, but yeah, it's, for, say we went with option. 3, because that's the one I opened up to, installation's 13,000, so that, If he says it's a 2-day project max, but if it happens to take 4 days, then we're over.
Is that Cedar Works or the other?
That main, the metal and plastic. Cedar Works did not have an option for supervised, they just had just a price for install. They didn't give me any information on site work or anything like that. I can go back and ask, but yeah. Yeah, the main recreation and design had installation options. I think I'm in favor of just having them do, if we choose one of their options, just having them do a full installation. And it says the full installation does not include site work, wood fiber, or contacting DigSafe, and then it explains below what site work is. Grading, drainage, removal of excess soil after installation is completed, and finish grading.
Recorded as fixed price installation cost excluding the factory.
Correct.
Doesn't add up. I mean, it's not a bid that I understand. Maybe I'm missing something.
But which bid are you looking at?
Yeah, what doesn't add up?
Well, they say, for example, under option one, installation is $15,800. And below that, they see $3,500 a day of supervised installation. Estimation of 2 days. Well, that's $7,000.
Yeah, that's a different, there's two options for installation. They can do a full install for the top price,
Excluding the site work.
excluding the site work.
Okay.
Or they can do a supervised installation, which is basically, they would send out 2 guys and hand tools. And stand there and make sure that our public works put it together right, basically. And we would be responsible for a dig safe, site work, sonotubes, concrete, bracing, plywood, concrete mixer, mini excavator.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
It almost might be worth $3,500 to see how they handled John Daigle. Okay, that was
35
totally a joke. Totally a joke. Totally a joke.
a day.
Totally a joke.
Probably our public works would do it for $3,500 a day.
Watch someone else put it together.
Yeah, I wonder if John's willing to put up that money so that he doesn't have to do it. But yeah, so those are the options. And talking with John a little bit, there's not a lot of margin for error. He said it's a 2-day project, but they know what they're doing. Yes, they'd send the supervised guys, but if we ran into a problem and it extended past those 2 days, it's gonna cost a whole lot more money to have it installed that way. Plus, we're paying our guys to do that as opposed to do something else, whatever. Public Works has to do those 2 to 4 days.
And I guess the yards of wood fiber are what they put on the ground to keep the kids from hurting themselves.
Yeah, so there's two options for playground bases, basically, the wood fiber, which is basically it's just a fancy way of saying wood chips. Is the most cost effective. I haven't got a price on that yet. I can, but the other option is almost like a rubberized surface area. And I did get a quote on that real quick. I don't have it with me, but it was as much as the playground. So. Yeah, in talking with the main recreation and design guy, he said that the wood fiber would be much cheaper.
And they've quoted a quantity in each of their outfits for wood fiber.
No, that's just
They've got
That's
80
just-
yards.
yeah, that's not included in the quote. That's just how much it would take to cover.
Oh, so we gotta pay for that too.
We do. So that's. Yeah, not.
It's gonna be $100,000 swing set.
Well, it depends what you pick.
I don't think it really matters. I think most of them are pretty close.
Yeah, they're fairly close. So I mean, option 3. So you can go, if we go back to no swings. If we go back to no swings, the option 3 that I recommended last time was 54,000. And that only requires 65 yards of wood fiber. Yeah. That's what he quoted. The other 2 options were 80. I didn't get a quote. Cedar Works did not include that. So yeah, you're looking at 54 plus wood chips with no swings. Cause the most is the Cedar Works with the swings.
Have you taken a ride up to Cedar Works and looked at their set they have out front?
No, I mean, I've driven by there 1,000 times, but never gone in and looked at stuff.
That's 65 for both.
Refresh
Yeah.
my memory.
So
Where does this money come from? Is it a grant?
It was the leftover capital funds from French Retreat. And if you need more money, we could, since we have the warrant, we could also, if you wanted to use some more, some proceeds.
These are just basic, I can go smaller. This is, I wasn't really given a budget. I was told to find a nice playground.
Yep, it's a little bit of a sticker shock.
Yeah.
As Ted would say, this is a sticky wicket.
Well, I think what Marcus really needs from you guys tonight is, I think we need to narrow his focus for him. We've got to make the wood metal decision,
Maybe some swing decisions.
and maybe it's.
I don't think that's gonna be an
Gotta
option.
Yeah, so the swings are, 8, 9, 10,000, depending on which company you decide to go with. And I'm not, the space we have, like I said before, the reason I didn't include them was space. But John seems to think we can squeeze them in there. We'd have to do some more little extra leveling of the hill.
Can we do like a straw poll of the room? And just see who likes the wood and who likes the metal? I mean, there's people who have been here for this conversation a couple of times now. And Elizabeth, you get a vote.
If you want, I'll go down to the metal transfer station and see what swings got thrown out.
I'd like to go see this way, I mean, since we have to make a decision. And give you some direction, I'd rather be informed.
I mean, you can go, I'm assuming you can go look at the swings at the school and because that's who used them, right?
Yeah, but Dr. Brian Race at the school, he said he'd used Maine Recreation and Design before. He didn't say which school has.
I'm
them,
sure he can
but
tell you.
I can find out.
And then you know where Cedar Works is in Rockport.
Or the Appleton School.
I've never been to Cedar Works.
No,
It's on Route 1.
It's on right on Route 1.
Yeah.
It's where the play equipment is.
Before you get.
Past the hospital.
Oh,
on the left-hand side.
And
Is it Rockport though?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, between the hospital and 90
Got
on
it.
the left if you're heading north.
Why you take your kids there and play, because we did that every Friday when my kids were.
I think they still do. No?
$5. My kids
Might get a
love.
splinter.
but yeah, some of these prices anywheres from.
Yeah.
62,000 to 71,000. And that doesn't include the public works work.
Yeah. I
Or
will
the
say-
chips.
I will say there's probably an error. On the one with the swing, probably the one with the swings would have, I didn't change the yards of wood fiber, I would expect it to be more,
Oh,
he didn't give me
okay.
that in the quote, I had to actually go back to the installation price. So after 65 and 80 are solid on the no swing, but I would assume the 65 and 80 is low
Okay.
on the swing one, would probably be more.
How about the installation for Cedar Works?
It's.
Do they
It's,
do any,
They just said installation, they didn't give me as much information as Maine Recreation Design did.
Mhm.
I can call them and get more info on what's included, but. That's,
I think that's a good idea. That way they can make the decision.
Mhm.
Who have you been talking to there? At the,
Cedar Works,
yeah,
I think her name's Lindsay,
Lindsay?
yeah, don't,
So if we walk in and say, hi, I'm from Waldeboro. Did you?
I've talked to her twice.
Oh, all right.
Um,
I
I'm
mean,
sure yeah, and
sure, yeah,
you might want to borrow, I mean, the other thing we could do is just get a bunch of kids together, take them up there and see what they think. I have like 4. I can give you.
see if they gravitate towards the climbers or the swings.
Gonna be an even split for that. But even for, I mean, and the other thing we could do is we could put out a Facebook poll. A Survey Monkey about wood versus metal and swings versus no swings. Cause I mean, we're a kind of a closed circus here, circuit.
yeah, my guess is that those of us who don't have kids anymore, or don't have any skin in the game, really. And those of us who do are gonna feel more strongly about it. And I'd rather get their input. I think they're gonna know more, and, well, we got a prime example sitting with us here at the table. You've got 2 kids.
I do.
Yeah. Have they been down?
They. Like, I don't know, I can't say for them what I don't know if they've ever played on a wood one, but
what's Friendship have?
I don't know the brand, but they have a big metal and plastic climber.
Yeah.
And when I take they also have a big swing set. Like
Yeah,
six
yeah.
or 8 swings, and it's my kids, but when my kids go there, they go right up the climber and they use the slides. And maybe eventually they'll head over to the swings later, but they always go for the climber and the slides first. Maybe that's just my kids, I don't know, they're the ones I watch when I'm there. But. That's
Mine went to the swings. I don't know.
my small sample size. So,
I'm trying to remember,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
spent a lot of time.
Yeah, well, they changed it. So when I went to Friendship, we had 2 metal slides that would burn you and 1 plastic one that would shock you. And a bunch of swings and monkey bars and all that,
Mhm.
but. I don't know how long it's been, not too long, probably in the last 10 years. they
Yeah,
did
it's a nice,
They
it's
put
a
it-
nice playground.
Big playground, similar, I would say it's similar to the Maine Recreation and Design one, but a lot bigger. Probably 2 to 3 times as big.
There's one down in Cushing.
That's just kind of the one next to the water there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin's Landing or something it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah, my kids have played there too, but my wife's taken them. I haven't been there with them.
okay.
It looks like more of a family style place that. it can be whatever, you know, it can be as big or as small as we want it. This is just a starting point.
Okay, so there's no rush. We can get more info.
So are we having a homework assignment here?
Go play.
I think Marcus should lead your, I think anybody who wants to go, Marcus can set up an appointment and you guys can go up and take a look at it. I think it's a great idea.
Take a picnic basket,
Mhm.
make it real.
Cedar Works.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, and to school, do it all in one day. That way, not a bunch of strange people are going on school property looking at the playground.
Okay.
Might be better that we set up for through Brian and,
Yeah, Thomaston has a nice play set too. Out back, the fields.
Mark,
Parking lot.
Max has his
Behind.
hand up in the back.
Yes, Matt, I'm sorry.
Ruben's on YouTube and he says that if anyone on the select board is going to this site visit, he would love to see group photos of the select board members on the swings.
Okay.
All right, I'll set those up.
Maybe we'll get in the Lincoln County News.
Call me, I'll be there.
Is there a budget you guys want me to work with? I haven't been given a number yet.
I mean, I think we're gonna have to add to it after you're telling me that, you know, the just for the wood chips sounds real.
Yeah, I can get a quote on, let me get a quote on wood chips.
I mean,
Get anybody to donate something?
we could. I mean, there was a group a few years ago that was willing to raise money and do things like that.
I was thinking of the businesses themselves too. Anyway, just a thought.
Yeah, you're talking 80 yards. That's what, two trailer truckloads. The trailer truckload will hold 40 yards. Yeah, you're talking 2 trailer truckloads. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
I can't imagine more than 40 yards would take that. For that area. I mean, you're talking a 8-foot bed, 40 feet long, 8 foot wide. Yeah, 6 to 8 feet deep all the way.
You want me to get more info from Maine Recreation and Design on how, I almost say they said the wood chips had to be like 6 inches deep or something.
Still,
Like it was-
but still, that's, yeah.
We ought to ask Cedar Works the same question.
Okay.
I mean, their factory might produce,
And
it,
you-
but there may be no charge.
I don't know if anybody's getting any live bed dump trailers for box trailers for chips, but I mean,
They have to be playground chips though.
Yeah, that was, you said they're not generic wood chip, that's why they call it the wood. It's engineered wood fiber.
engineered, yeah, run it through the same chipper a regular tree would go through.
I don't know, I don't know if it's different, I just thought he said there was one.
All right, so that's it.
Yep.
That's the marching orders right there.
Okay. I get the difference between, 4 and 6 swings,
Sorry.
just to try. Well, just the difference between all of these have 6 swings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two? Well done.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that was the first question they asked me if we wanted 4 swings or 6.
Yeah.
And Julie was emphatic.
She
that it
likes
was
6. Well,
Well, because that way we can have, and somebody pointed this out to me too, is that we have to take into account, we do have handicapped children in the community that it would be nice to provide, there's a specialized swing
Yeah.
that goes on there. So like when you actually start thinking about the number of swings, if you were to do that with 4, then you're down to 3. How many do you
Yeah.
want? What do you want to offer?
The
And
guy from Maine Recreation and Design too asked if we wanted toddler swings.
right.
yeah, I see the,
And he said he was not allowed to put a toddler swing and a big swing. in-
Together.
In the same bay.
oh,
Right.
So
Oh,
at
okay.
Third Bay, he
Yeah.
said, once he installs it and leaves, we can do whatever we
Yeah.
want. But he
Gotcha.
can't put it in that one.
Yeah.
So instead of doing, if we had 2 bays with 4 swings, he'd have to put in 2 toddler ones. We could change it later. to 3
Which
and
makes
1.
sense, because there should be like 2 toddlers and then they're going to be big kids and, you just,
Yeah.
that's why I thought 6.
different heights. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
6 is good. I'm just looking at the price of those.
It is, yeah.
So I'll wait for you to tell me when I can go with you.
All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Field trip?
Field trip. Going slinging.
We'll continue that a little later on. Don
Yes.
Foster Field acquisition. Any other discussion on that? John Foster
Is that you, Max?
Field acquisition.
I'll get out of your way. Yes. So. I'll stand beside you. Yeah, so everyone should have a draft letter that they would authorize Julie to send off to the mainland water conservation fund contact. It's just notifying that before we actually hopefully gets the Foster Field, we just notified the mainland water conservation fund that we want to put this under the covenant that they have, that our tennis courts currently have. And that we will start the process to go through Yellow Book of Trade rules to make sure that the value is the same. Marcus is gonna have to type something up to say how the field is much more valuable than tennis courts. I trust you to do that.
Yeah, more people can play.
Exactly. And from there, we can get the act. Peg told me that we didn't have to put it on the warrant for accepting the donation of land, so we just need to send the letter off. And then we can get the field, and next year we will hopefully be able to start applying for land water conservation funds again. And Marcus gave me a quick letter from the Madomic Valley Little League saying that the board has voted unanimously to look into the town hall for acquiring the ownership of Foster.
I move that we make the request for a transfer. And I emphasize the word transfer, not the word convert. We're transferring the covenant, not converting the covenant, right? Okay.
I'm
So-
fine with the language as long as what's on the tennis courts is moved over to the.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fine with whatever word you want.
Now, that's a transfer. So I would make the motion to transfer, to make the request to transfer the covenant from the tennis courts to the field, as Max has described.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? No, proceed to vote. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
Like the thing that takes us.
Don't go anywhere, Max.
You're still here.
AD Gray update.
Oh, right, that's tonight. Yeah, so as Julie mentioned earlier, we had two forums yesterday. Jan Greason Brock was at the one in the morning, and it had such a huge turnout, right, Colonel?
I had plenty of room.
And then 6 p.m. I think there were about just short of 10 people that I think were there.
Oh.
Yeah, you were.
10, yeah, I was there. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
In person, and then there
in
were. some-
person, and then there were like 3, I think. And you were one of them. I'm trying to figure out who that was, and then I feel
It was
so,
darkened.
yeah.
Didn't want you to see my ham spear.
I think the 6 p.m. one is now uploaded onto Town Hall for our YouTube page, so everyone can watch that format in full. But from what I was told, it was very positive turnout.
It was very positive. The, Ralph and Elaine from Bear Hill were there, and she mentioned, she said, I didn't think I was gonna like it, but.
It's a nice design.
And she really liked it, and she taught there.
Mhm.
So she
Yeah, I
had,
went to school there.
personal investment, and yeah, they were quite positive about it, and Brian was great. They really liked him too, his manner.
So we can still do the other forum on April 24th if the select board feels it's needed. I almost would say, let's wait and see what happens on Thursday.
I would say, yeah, I've had people contact me to say they'd forgotten, or they saw it too late, or whatever. And Elaine said she wouldn't have known, but she saw it on Facebook, so she, that she came over. So there might be others who are,
Well,
I don't know. Let's wait and see with the planning board.
Right.
Okay.
And speaking of the planning board, you all should have a draft document. It's just letting the planning board know, so it's part of the ordinance showing the title of ownership, that the town owns it, still owns it. But it's trying to clear up a few questions like school streets, the tennis courts, and it's still in negotiations, but you're giving Volunteers of America permission to proceed with the planning application.
Yeah, do you want a motion on that letter?
Just to have Julie sign.
There was a question last night about the triangle in front of the school.
Yeah, and I think Brian asked that, from my understanding, the town was gonna keep it.
That's what my
Triangle.
understanding was.
In front of the school.
Yeah, that's-
Across the street.
Yeah,
With the
That goes
barn
down
on
School
it?
Street.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought we were keeping. it.
Yeah, well, and he was unclear on that, and that's where they have the little monument.
it
Right.
is.
Oh, okay.
So
they were gonna
that's,
put the monument there, but I believe the town was still gonna keep it because some people have said they wanted to buy it.
Yeah.
Some people wanted to do different things with it, but
Mhm.
that's something.
Would they be willing to, I wonder if they would be willing to put that there and.
Yeah.
As long as we still own it, because he was unclear. At first he thought that that was part of their parcel.
Well, we were kind of clear about that with the MOU, that they will only make it the school.
Yep.
It was never part of the conversation.
Well, I didn't think, but he said,
Yeah.
since we put our thing is going to be there, he said, so. Oh, just be good to make sure that.
We'll make
we
sure.
both have the same
Yeah,
understanding.
we'll make sure.
I think there was someone, I don't know if it was said at the forum yesterday, but there was some confusion about the time capsule that's in the school. And it was in the audience, so you talked with Volunteers America about the,
No, I haven't talked to them, but supposedly there's a time, I wasn't around when they built it, obviously.
Right.
Bob might have been. Supposedly in one corner of that building is a time cap.
Right.
Jasper Sparrow's book, I'll look in it and see which guy, I think it's the front right-hand corner.
John Blodgett thought it was under Mr. Worden's room.
Yeah.
Which is in that front corner.
Yeah, it'd be the front, right?
I guess we're just gonna have to coordinate with Volunteers America that
Mhm.
when the demolition's
If you're
happening,
looking at it.
we get it, and then I assume we're gonna give it to the Historical Society.
Yes,
Mhm.
Stay away.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah,
So
April 13th, 6 PM, planning board will potentially review this application. We'll see what happens from there.
The pictures were great.
Yes, they're awesome.
Their pictures were really nice and they were clear and there's one woman who wanted a roof, but nobody else did. Oh, Brian was
Oh,
on there
it's-
too. Brian McGurl was on the
Brendan McGraw.
Brendan, right,
On the building.
on the screen, the Zoom screen. And he came in some good information about roofs.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was good. He said, there's a perception that you can't build a flat roof in Maine. And then he went on with some of the advantages and said, if you've been in a Walmart, in a Hannaford, yeah, you've been in one.
Did
He-
you
he
say
was
6
good.
or 6:30?
6 PM is when the meeting starts, but the first application would be the bed and breakfast over at 926 Main Street.
So 6:30.
6:30, I'd almost say 6:45. Sorry. Yeah, just a motion to allow Julie to send the letter off to the planning board.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any more discussion? If not, proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion? All opposed, motion carried. Agenda items for next meeting. Playground, is that,
I guess we'll revisit it again. Hopefully you had your visit by then.
okay? Think of anything else that be on there?
It might be.
Be an executive session.
Yeah.
No.
Well, my issue becomes for an executive is that I think it would be great for you guys to go to the
Yeah.
the WBA meeting. Since it's starting back up.
No, I agree.
Yeah, we'll do it after the meeting if we have time. We obviously don't have time tonight.
Could you put the WBA thing on the agenda for the next? meeting?
Sure.
We know that we're supposed to be there.
At 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Write it down.
But just so you know, I know it was on the agenda for tonight, but we don't have to do that. We can just adjourn.
Looking at the dates.
Don't we have more assessors after the meeting?
You have more assessors. That's
Yeah.
right, you do. Go get Daryl.
So we make a motion.
You can at least adjourn from your.
That's what I was gonna
select
say. I'll make a motion to adjourn the select board
Yeah.
meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
board. Forgot that.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn from the select board meeting. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
I can you stop and restart?
Yeah.